The real Kyper and Bourne Show. We are live on Sportsnet 590, Sportsnet 360, and Sportsnet Plus from 4 to 6. And if you don't catch us live, download us, man. Seems to be the way to go,
yeah.
JB.
Hey, it's a new era of consuming stuff like that.
More yours, right? Not mine.
I don't know. I'm getting old.
I remember the dial turning in the car.
Do you?
Yes. Cranking it.
Then sure. Mine, not yours.
Lots of people going to YouTube after the show is done, too, and watching our shows. So it's nice. Nice to see.
Lovely.
Really good to see. So anywhere you get your pod, please download us if you get a chance. And as always, today, tomorrow, Friday, from the Metro Convention Center, we'll be there live and in color.
We will.
Text us 590-590. Any comments, any questions?
You gonna wear a Whalers jersey or a tux? You got a plan for the? What are you gonna wear down there?
A Whaler jersey.
Whaler tux, maybe.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
We got a jam-packed show again.
We do.
Seems to be that way during All-Star Week here. We're going to talk Curtis Joseph in about half an hour. We've had him on in the past. Absolutely love talking to this guy.
Do we have him on Zoom? Is he joining us?
I
Video?
think
Do
we're
we
going
know?
to try to get him on Zoom. He's moving. He's
I
shaking.
sent the request on Zoom.
Okay.
So.
He's,
all right.
He's in town. He flew in, I think, today or yesterday. So he's loaded up with appearances. So I don't know for sure where we're going to catch him. And hopefully it is on Zoom so we can see his pretty face. But looking forward to Curtis Joseph in about 25 minutes. At the top of the hour, we're going to welcome in Emily Kaplan as well from ESPN. Of course, all the big shooters, ESPN, TNT, they're all here in Toronto getting ready to cover the NHL. But she'll join us, and amongst many topics will include expansion, which, guys, I'm hearing is growing legs.
God.
Yeah.
How many teams is too many teams?
No kidding. And in the second hour, Patrick Alvin, general manager with a new contract out of Vancouver, will join us. But in the meantime, away from the ice, away from the NHL All-Star Weekend, the biggest story remains that lawyers now representing Calgary Flames forward Dylan Dubé, Philadelphia Flyers goalie Carter Hart, New Jersey Devils forward Michael McLeod, and Devils defenseman Cal Foote have all confirmed the charges in statements shared with Sportsnet. So we're going to welcome in Katie Strang, who does a terrific job as one of the lead investigative reporters for The Athletic. She'll shed some light on where this story's going and how quickly it gets going here. Just seems like people have been waiting forever for any information at all. And over the last little while, I mean, there's been nothing on this. And then, poosh, like floodgates.
Yeah. And there's great sensitivity with the topic. Not just because you want to get everything right, because, these are a lot of people's lives at stake here, So we'll get to Katie here in a second and ask her what she knows. Okay,
Katie, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it. We know you're real sensitive on the timing here, so let's get right to it. Just your initial reaction, Katie, to what has been really a very quiet lack of information, say, in the last 6, 8, 12 months on this, and just how surprised were you with all the news surfacing this week that 5 players have been charged?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple different ways to look at this. Like, I think some people, obviously understood that there had to be some sort of resolution to this matter, whether that resulted in, charges being laid or not. But I think the longer that it dragged, it started to sort of feel interminable to people. And I think there were, naturally a lot of questions about why this process was taking so long. I don't think it's probably necessarily unusual for anything, that's part of a criminal proceeding to take quite a bit of time, especially if there's, forensic data to review and search warrants to obtain and production orders to be applied for and executed. So I don't think that's unusual, but I certainly understand the frustration and the confusion that I think a bunch of people have been feeling over the last 6, 8, 10 months. But I think, if anything, this past week has, been sort of a meaningful, tangible step towards some sort of resolution on the matter and clarity.
Yeah, and I think that's something that everyone's looking for. My understanding is that it doesn't feel like any sort of conclusion is going to be reached quickly with some backlog in Canadian courts. Do you have some sort of sense of how long it could take to get a resolution? And while we await that, what would the NHL do with these players?
Yeah, so from my understanding, and I'm going to offer the caveat that I'm an American, I'm based in the U.S., so there is some significant divergence in Canadian criminal law, in U.S. criminal law, and even in, Canada, certain provinces do things differently. But my understanding is that they'll have two different roads and routes that they can take in terms of, assuming this goes to trial, that they can either try this in the provincial court or the superior court, and depending on which route it takes. The trial has to begin within either 18 months of the initial charge date, whether it's route 1, or within 30 months of the initial charge date. And to my understanding, that is also not factoring in if the defense, appeals for or requests any sort of delay. So I think that gives you, just on its face, a very sort of stark reminder that the legal proceedings often, those machinations do not move along as expeditiously as we often hope to see. And then I think, Rick Westhead reported yesterday that because of significant backlog, you can potentially even expect more delays even beyond the initial time frame.
We're talking to Katie Strang, senior investigative writer with The Athletic. So, Katie, outside of the 5 accused, the three major players in this are the London Police, the National Hockey League, and Hockey Canada. We have heard from the London Police. In your mind, who steps up next? We've got the NHL All-Star Weekend. Can we expect some clarity out of Gary Bettman and the National Hockey League this weekend?
I mean, I certainly think Gary Bettman is going to be asked about this, as he should be, in the press conference this weekend. I will not be there, but I'm sure there will be many journalists who are eager to hear what he has to say. I would be surprised if the league offers any comment of substance prior to the London Police Service press conference. And I'll be honest, I'm not sure how much more meaningful substantive information that press conference will yield, just because those 5 individuals who have been charged have now been publicly identified. I think in the same way that the London Police said that they were limited with what they could divulge during an active criminal investigation, I think they, now that this is going to be moving its way through the courts, I think they will be similarly circumspect in what they're able to say. And I would imagine the league probably is unwilling to divulge much of substance either.
Katie, is there much in the way of precedent for these guys? Like, what should we expect for the rest of their careers? I guess I'm asking, does it depend on the outcome of these charges, or is it, would the league ever sort of move more aggressively than the legal system against these guys?
Yeah, I think I feel pretty confident in answering that question, which is there any possibility that players could face discipline absent a criminal conviction? And I feel pretty confident that the answer to that is yes, which is, there are certain evidentiary thresholds that you have to be able to prove in a criminal court of law to obtain a conviction. And the league, I think would have a much lower threshold in terms of evidence, whether it's, a preponderance of evidence, whether it's a majority of evidence, whether it's, sort of the balance of information, et cetera, that, we don't know what the NHL has yielded and found and discovered in its own probe, but it's it's certainly possible that they have discovered, elements or will discover elements as part of this potential criminal trial that they could, discern and decide, contravenes their code of essentially their code of conduct in what I think is referred to in the CBA. It's like, running in contrast to, the welfare of the league or any sort of conduct that could cause, detrimental reputational damage. So I do think the league could, act, even in absence of a conviction, but I still think we're probably a long way from that happening. But that said, the league has been very opaque about, I would say the contours of its investigation and what that has uncovered.
Katie, you mentioned you're down in the U.S. here, and we know what a story like this around the game of hockey and the coverage that it will have in Canada. But how big of a story, in your opinion, can this be in the U.S. or international here when it comes to the media attention?
Yeah, I mean, I've certainly had some requests from national news outlets down in the U.S. I mean, I certainly do not think that it captivates sort of the nation's consciousness in the same way that it does in Canada, with hockey just being the premier sport of interest, and this, being something that has transcended sport in Canada and obviously prompted parliamentary hearings, federal oversight, institutional reform, all of those things. We haven't seen that same sort of ripple effect in the U.S. That doesn't mean that still won't happen, but I think it's just a different scale when you're in Canada. People really are aware of this topic, are talking about this topic, and are keenly interested in this topic for sure.
Do you think the extended fallout that you just sort of referred to, like Hockey Canada lost a bunch of sponsors and, people, I think the board was fully turned over. Has the extended fallout from this sort of already happened and now it's just sort of down to the players, or are there other bodies or people who are sort of whose fates are hang in the balance here as well?
No, I think we could still see significant follow. I mean, it's going to be really interesting to follow this potential trial. It will be fascinating to see who they call as witnesses. Remember that 5 players have been charged, but I just went back and read through the warrant packet today. And in the 2022, it's called an information to obtain. It's essentially an application for a bunch of search warrants and production orders. The police, sort of testified to the fact that they believed that upwards of 12 players were either party and or witness to the incident. So I certainly think there are others who may be implicated to some degree, even just by association or by testimony they might have to provide. And I think that there are certainly people, within Hockey Canada whose role in this investigation and sort of the fallout and perhaps, any level of containment or, strategizing around messaging around this, all of those things could, become uncovered in a criminal trial. It's really hard to speculate as to the scope and sprawl that this thing may have.
Katie, we know you're real busy, and we thank you for your time and shedding some light on this topic, and we'll continue to follow you as well as sportsnet.ca for all the latest. Thanks for making time for us.
Of course. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Katie. Appreciate it.
Katie Strang, senior investigative writer with The Athletic. So
obviously, I just want to know too, not asking Katie questions about the victim here, who is at the center of everyone's, concern and all this, can't be a fun time for her. And so in keeping that in mind, not asking too many questions there either, just to respect privacy.
It'll be interesting now, just in terms of how much Gary gets asked on this subject. If it's one statement and then it's done with, I assume that he will not try to avoid it, but not say anything more than what probably he knows at this point. And then possibly early next week, we could see him with something more significant to announce. But I don't anticipate much this weekend, guys. Do you?
Well, like Katie kind of alluded to there, it's like, what can he say at this point?
You know, we
right?
know
It's like,
who it is.
yeah.
We know, he's going to give a statement, Kip,
Yeah.
and I bet she takes no questions on it.
I think he'll try to not take questions, but it's an open forum, and there's going to be people down there that are going to want answers. And they're probably not afraid to push him. Like, this is a situation where it's not just going to be sports reporters down there now, right? Like, this is going to be like the CTV, City News. Like, everybody's going to be sending people down there trying to get answers on this, and they probably won't take no from an answer like some other people would. So we'll see, but I don't expect him to be able to just put out a statement and have it be done.
But I bet you he reads some sort of prepared thing, and then when he gets asked follow-up questions, he'll say, I'll refer to my previous statement. We can't say anything else at this time.
You're right.
London police will say nothing because they can't outside of what we already know. You know, as Katie sort of implied, not sure what else could really come of it. And then Gary's kind of off the hook. And
He does, though, guys, he does yield a tremendous amount of power to do a lot of different things, not just with these five, with anybody on a daily basis, based on their activity, based on how they represent the league, code of conduct.
the league has wide latitude to punish for basically whatever they want.
So I don't think he can also do and say nothing until he finds out if and when they're going to court and if and when someone's convicted of anything.
What's going to be a challenge, I think, is that it sounds like from some other reports that this could not be cleared up before 2026, which is 2 years from now, which, let's just say hypothetically, these guys were found not guilty or whatever. Like, can you keep them out of the league on...
That's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But someone told me that they'll find a way to speed this up.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That it's because it's so
high profile,
politically tied.
Yeah.
That they will try to find a way to speed this whole process up.
It's got two of the biggest non-political governing bodies involved in the country, the NHL and Hockey Canada.
Yeah.
Like two pretty powerful entities that are very popular in Canada and all that stuff. So I imagine it's going to be hard to keep it as a slow process. But I'm sure that's probably going to be part of what the lawyer, like, it's going to be a mess. That's what it's going to be. And
yes, indeed, Sammy.
Yep. So, I mean, we can take a break and come back and
all right. You want
to
to read, you got a couple of...
Here, let me just find my lineup here, boys.
Reads for us, Sammy?
Yeah, I got a couple new ones for today. Well, I'll read the Hockey Night in Canada one here. It's Hockey Night Punjabi in Brampton, and it's a partnership with the city of Brampton, the NHL, Hockey Night in Canada, and Punjabi is celebrating the sport of hockey on Monday, February 5th with a free community skate at Gore Meadows Outdoor Rink. Come meet the team, check out the United Hockey Mobile Museum, go for a skate, and take a pic with the Stanley Cup. There'll be food trucks and plenty of games and activities for everybody, so celebrate hockey with Hockey Night Punjabi on Monday, February 5th from 3 until 8 p.m. at Gore Meadows on the outdoor rink in Brampton. So go check that out. And then we can hit the break and we'll come back and talk some hockey.
Okay, you heard my producer. When we come back, we'll talk a little Leafs and then welcome in the 7th goalie on the NHL list for wins. Curtis Joseph will join us.
All right.
More Real Kyper and Bourne after these words. Welcome back to the Real Kyper and Bourne show. When's Gary Bettman's press conference? Do we have an official?
Friday at 1.
Friday at 1.
Yep.
You'll be there, right?
Yeah, I will be there.
At the fanfare, yeah.
I'll be there, 100%. I'm going down early, boys. I'm going to be there all day.
I'm not going to have to pull you off a shooting machine or something, am I?
I'm not going to embarrass myself like that, buddy.
Focus.
I'm not going to embarrass myself
Sammy's
like that.
playing goal at some fan event. Yeah. That's how he plays goal, by the way.
I mentioned earlier, and we got Emily Kaplan at the top of the hour, and we'll get into it as well. But just hearing a little bit more and more on expansion guys, and it's so funny to hear you guys moan the moment I said it.
Yeah.
Do you think a lot of people feel that way?
Yes.
This is my actual job, and it's like, God, there's so many teams. You know, who's on Anaheim again?
I watched Columbus and St. Louis play a 1-0 game last night, and then San Jose and the Seattle Kraken played a 2-0 game. Borny texted, he said, I don't think there's a top 100 player on any of these teams.
Yeah.
That was correct. It's like, there's too many teams.
You watched last night?
I got to be honest. I watched the entire St. Louis Blues
No
Columbus
way.
Blue Jackets game. I did.
I mean, what percent of the time were you on TikTok?
I had
or
two
Instagram?
screens going. I had the Raptors on one, and I had the hockey game on the other.
I had the hockey game on mute behind me, and I don't think I looked up one.
I was scared to turn it on. I break out in hives.
Watching Columbus, St.
Yes.
Louis in the
Yes.
All-Star week.
Like a bad rash.
Everyone is on vacation right now. If you all
I've texted a million people. I'm getting beach pics,
Yeah.
like Valaquette skiing. I'm like,
Yeah.
what the
around the NHL, it's
Next-
Jordan Beans in Disney World. It looks like it's
next year, boys. We're going to make an oath.
So
It's not here next year. We're taking All-Star week off.
boys
next
are going
week.
to Pinehurst. or
Yeah, we're going
something.
golfing.
there's some that have suggested to me, and this is not a confirmation. This is not what I'm reporting. I'm just telling you. I'm pulling the Doug McLean. I'm just telling you what I'm hearing. That there was at some point where the league may have suggested to Arizona, you got a certain date that you just got to prove to us that you're building something, or you might need a shovel in the ground, and it may have been around this weekend.
And is
So-
there a shovel in the ground?
Last time I've heard,
Is there land
Why
surveyors?
don't we ask Panger, who's
there's-
golfing with all of the golf
Yeah,
community
yeah,
down
Arizona.
there?
I don't think there's anything of significance right now other than that arena that they're playing in right now as the future of the Arizona Coyotes.
All right, so it's January 31st, 2024. We're doing the show January 31st, 2028. And I tell you, Arizona has moved to Utah. There's a team in Atlanta and Toronto, a second team. I mean, is it possible? Does that sound like how'd I do for expansion?
I don't think you're. I think everything's on the table right now.
Yeah.
I really do.
But can I ask you, why is Atlanta being considered again? Like,
Atlanta's building a rink. Kevin
Yeah,
Weeks was tweeting about it.
Yeah, that rink's coming no matter what, with or without an NHL team. I had
I
heard
would hope
that
without.
last week that
I hope without.
Bet you it's
that rink's
with.
coming.
Why?
Our boy Buchagras was tweeting about that a year ago or something. that had happened.
They just
Huge
they
market.
wanted they want a third chance.
I
at
don't
an
They
think
want
NHL
to
team.
they want to fail again?
I
Like,
don't think the NHL believes you can be one of the four major sports if you're not in some of the biggest cities in the U.S. Phoenix is the huge market. Houston's a huge market. Atlanta's a huge market. Like, I think eventually those places have teams.
So Gary Bettman or the board or the owners go back to Arizona and they say we're moving this organization up to Salt Lake City.
But did you see what Elliott tweeted once upon a time? He thought that it's possible a team could go back to Arizona then once they got the rink.
4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
That's the feeling that in 4 or 5 years you guys want to build a rink. We're happy to go back there, but it won't.
You can't run a league like that, can you?
Yeah, you can. Absolutely.
So many teams, 40 teams in this league at some point.
And don't. I don't think it'll
gonna
be
get back in shape.
If something like that happens, I would be surprised if
That
if,
other
if,
city.
if the owner of Arizona got a chance to sell it to Salt Lake City. I think it goes back to the league,
Yeah.
and then the league sells it.
Yeah. That would make sense.
That would make sense.
They need to be able to collect their $1 billion here.
and
which is the
Houston's very much out there. And then you had mentioned a second team in Toronto with we don't know what the Leaf ownership group's going to look like in 2 years. One tech company owning them. Are they still split? Does one go off and do something else?
Kipper, you've talked about certain things that, like, this is going to happen, isn't it? Like, I
You
feel like you're going to be
strongly
really,
at some
like,
point.
you've mentioned this enough where it's like,
But this is the start of how something like this happens. There's dribs and drabs of like, I could see that.
In the past, Gary wouldn't have anything to do with it. Commissioner Bettman wouldn't have anything to do with the talk of invading in
Yeah.
the Maple Leaf territory, with good reason. You're protecting your biggest stakeholder in the league,
Yeah.
the most powerful one, the one that generates the most revenue. But if they've come to an understanding between Bell and Rogers to move forward in a different direction, then it could open up a second team in Toronto.
It's like the Live Golf PGA thing. No one thought it was possible until it was.
And your initial thoughts to a second team in Toronto?
Love it.
Would you jump ship or stay a Leafs
Of course
fan?
not. It would be my favorite thing in the world would be to make fun of the people that do jump ship.
Well, I can't tell you the amount of people who would be dying to do it.
You think so?
Oh, God, yeah. People have had their hearts broken for so long.
You grew up in the Rangers and the Islanders.
Yeah.
Is that not
It's amazing, right?
a close comparison or the best comparison?
Probably the best you can do. I think it's great. I mean, Rangers and Isles fans love nothing more than that rivalry, than hating one another, than, Potvin sucks. And
I can't tell you how embarrassing it would be for people who jump ship. Actually, text in 590-590. Would you jump ship?
I would be curious to know, like, let's say this is going to happen and the Leafs win the Cup this year. How many fans then say that they've been rewarded as Leafs fans? Like, how many could you keep with success before the Toronto
and there are not
whatevers come here?
There are not many things more sure in this world than that team winning the Cup before the Leafs.
Oh, God, yeah. If I could bet right now, they're minus 110 to win a Cup before the Leafs.
No
All right.
question.
Enough. We got Curtis Joseph joining us right now. And
Hope we didn't hear that last part.
I don't think he wants to jump in on the conversation on a second team in Toronto right about now. Do you, CuJo? Welcome, buddy.
Hey, how are you, Kyper? Always great to see you guys.
Yeah, good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I want to jump in.
Well, like, have you ever thought about it? Like, legitimately thought about it?
If there was another team and I could be part owner, I'm all in.
Printing money.
Can you imagine? We have such a rabid hockey fan base in Toronto, and it's amazing. And it will never happen because the Maple Leafs are such a historic and great franchise. But, like, if there was an availability, all my chips would go to the center. Every penny I have would invest in it. Because if you were 1/10 of success that the Leafs had, you're okay.
Well, listen, if someone that knows this market well, it's you, my friend, and you've known it as a Leaf. You've also known it as an NHL All-Star. A lot of the same vibes coming back, not so much as a player, but one as a fan.
So great. I mean, I don't know why they don't have the NHL All-Star game here every 3 years. Lucratively, I'm sure they're killing it. I think the cheapest ticket's $800, isn't it?
Jeez.
Hey,
Crazy.
another reason to
get tickets.
Another reason to have a second team.
Yeah.
Lower those prices.
Kyper, the only reason I'm on your show is because you said you'd give me 2 tickets to the game.
So how was your experience as an NHL All-Star? What do you remember most from your experiences there?
How about this? I remember the skills competition, and being in Toronto, you want to perform, and you're the hometown guy. I literally had the breakaway competition, Jaeger, Bure, and maybe Timo Solani. I'm like, well, those are the guys I get. Those are the guys I get. You guys try to embarrass me. It was, but anyway, it was
Hey,
fun.
Jammer, what's up?
Ex-teammate, love this guy.
Oh, he's the best. Hey, what would and of course, you know, we've seen so many great pictures of you over the years, but the one with you and Mats on the cover of the All-Star back-to-back, one of my favorites.
Mine too. And just before the picture was taken, Mats is like 6'4", 6'5". I'm 5'11". I stood on my toes, and so I could be in the picture, and that's exactly what happened. So I love that picture. He was Team World. I was Team North America. I was the home team, but I had to stand on my toes back to back. What
would Marner, Matthews, Riley, Nylander be thinking and feeling right now? Is there a little added pressure to being players of the host besides being in a skills competition?
Yeah, there is. You want to perform well, but you also know that the home crowd is cheering your every move. Like, anything you do is going to be, you've got everybody's got your back. So that was the fun part about it. Being at an All-Star game in Toronto, so much fun. And the media and the family requests and everything else are overwhelming. It's going to cost you a little bit of money these days, but it was great. I wouldn't trade that experience for the world. It was I enjoyed it tremendously, and to be an all-star is a great honor.
What do you think of the idea that they have put $1 million up for grabs in the skills contest? Like, I imagine guys were halfway motivated before. What are your thoughts when you see that?
My first thoughts are, can the goalie win it?
That's a great question, and I'm guessing no.
How can a goalie win it? Like, that's what I want to know. That's not fair.
Good
That's
point.
a really good point.
Really
we're
good
gonna we're gonna
point.
take this up with the league.
What do we chop liver? We play 60 minutes a game. Like, honestly, I want a chance to win that.
It is the equivalent to our era, or maybe even before that, of winning a car. Can you imagine now a guy making 60, 80,000 in
cars.
the early 80s and winning a car? Do you remember thinking about winning a car when you were in your All-Star games? 2 of them, correct?
Yeah, well, I was invited to more. I was hurt for a couple, and one was the Olympics that I was able to turn down in case I got hurt. So I always try and clarify that. But in all honesty, getting back to the last point, if I'm not going to win it, guys, you got to be cutting deals with me. I'll be like, who wants to win this? You don't think I'm cutting a deal with somebody going, hey, how much you want to win? How much you want to win this?
Yeah.
Give me the spare tire, something.
I'm like, hey, you want to score on this shot? Like, who wants to?
$100,000, I'll stop nothing.
You're going to see those deals being cut. When guys go up talking to the goalies, you know something's happening.
You just mentioned, turning down a few with the thought of getting hurt. You think that's in the back of their minds as well? Like, it would be horrific for one of these guys to leave with a tweaked groin, pulled groin, but it is a reality when you think about what they're looking at this weekend.
Yes, but generally, like, you tweak a groin, that's okay. You have time. But for me, the Olympics were right after the All-Star game, and I ended up turning it down because, hey, what if you miss the Olympics? Like, that's not good. So that's the decision you're going to make. In hindsight, I had too much time off, and I should have went to the All-Star game and kept playing well going. So these are things, but if you get hurt, you don't have a gold medal.
We've talked a little bit about the Toronto factor with this All-Star game, but I want to ask you about the goaltending for the Leafs in general, because Ilya Samsonov had kind of a hard time with some of the mental side of a slump. How much harder is going through a tough time in a market like Toronto? Or did you ever go through tough times, CuJo?
Of course, yeah. I went through tough times, but fortunately, I was at a point in my career and mentally that I was able to somehow be able to get through that. That was one of my strengths. 6'4" was not one of my strengths. So the mental part of the game was probably one of my better strengths. So, when a guy's struggling, you don't magnify it in the media. I used to tell Jack Campbell that never say you play bad because it will be magnified and you don't want that coming back on you. But it's way tougher. I played in other markets as a home team, and there's nothing like Toronto. But this is the big but. Risk reward. The greater the risk, the greater the reward. So there's nothing better. And fortunately, we were able to play. I think in that 4 or 5 years, we had the second most playoff dates of any team in the NHL. So we're great.
All right. You got us okay, Cooch? Because you broke up a little bit on us. We might have lost him. Want to see if we can reconnect? Because I really, really like talking to CuJo. You guys are fine. You're okay.
No.
But you're no CuJo.
I didn't stop many pucks in the NHL. Any, for that matter.
It struck a nerve with this.
What's that?
He's not happy.
When people jump ship.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Struck a nerve. Text line just
Well, you think
What-
people
lit
would
up.
will?
I'm sorry. Remind me what we're talking about?
If people would leave the Leafs.
Oh,
as
yeah.
fans to
No.
become
Stay
fans.
stay with me on CuJo for a little bit. Hey, you think other goalies are sitting there going, excuse me, but like, I can't win $1 million. What am I standing here?
Unbelievably good point. So I don't know how many goalies are in the game, but there should be some opportunity for them to win some commensurate amount, right?
All right,
Good
let's
news,
welcome
we
in.
got him.
Cooch, you got us? Curtis Joseph, line 3. Oh, we thought we had him, but we don't. Listen,
Oh.
if is that it, Sammy? What do you think, buddy?
Do you want me to call him?
Yeah, see if we can get him on the phone.
Okay, well, we can try to call him here.
All right, we'll give it one more chance here, and if not, you know what? He's a busy guy too. We don't want to bug him.
Well, so he's in town for the All-Star game, right? Is he like
Sure
an
is,
alumni
yes.
ambassador sort of role?
He may wear a few different hats this week, but whatever it is, he's the star in whatever avenue he
Are
chooses.
you going to be around?
We've got Thursday night. We've got our Hockey Hall of Fame event around the '67 Toronto Maple Leaf Stanley Cup team.
Okay. Friday you'll be at the Fan Fair from 4 to 6.
Friday, I'll focus on our show.
Are you going to go to the game on Saturday?
I'm going to start with a skills competition.
See how it feels.
See how it goes, and how long my night goes.
Yep. Fair
But
enough.
I do have
There's parties.
I have an appearance Saturday morning.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Who booked that
To
one?
skate.
To skate.
Yes.
At what?
City Hall for Scotiabank.
Are you
Cool.
cutting a ribbon down there?
Yeah, I
Skating
don't know.
at City
Listen.
Hall? Holy.
I'm a
Cutting a
man of
ribbon
the
for-
people.
He's cutting a ribbon on the new rink they're going to be building for the Toronto Leafs Part 2
Yeah.
or whatever it may be.
No. Yeah. So, I mean, a few things here and there, but I also want to enjoy it. And the best part about it is just catching up with some familiar faces. You know, Mark Messier will be in town.
Nice. Yeah,
So-
I've heard there's lots of alumni, lots of people coming to town. There are lots of parties. I am fascinated by something CuJo said about cutting deals. Oh, we got
Okay, let's give him one more try. Cooch. Wow, thanks, buddy.
Better, right? I got a different connection.
Okay. We were talking about the Leaf goaltending situation. I think you were just talking about Samsonov.
Yeah, so it definitely is a mental game, and you can see how it can come and go. And you really have to be able to be mentally tough and keep those slumps to one game. It's hard to do, but there's a way to do it. And you got to have great confidence. You can't lose it.
Yeah, and so how do you feel about the coach handling that in the media? We saw Sheldon Keefe with Ilya Samsonov generally protecting him. You know, we're always torn, or I am anyway, and if the coach should be harder on guys in the media or take it gently. I think you probably feel gently is the way to go based on you saying Samsonov shouldn't say he's playing bad even when he does.
Yeah, for goaltending, it's all confidence. A lot of it is. And literally, you cannot destroy a kid's confidence. You have to, but he has to be resilient also. You know, it's just sometimes it's internal. Like you can avoid those slumps by being ultra confident. And there's many tricks and many ways to do that. And it takes experience sometimes, and it takes some inner confidence.
Hey, Curtis, I'm not sure how much you've seen of Joseph Wall, but prior to him having a high ankle sprain, he had some real Curtis Joseph moments. And the feeling is when he's ready, he will get some looks again. And is it a double-edged sword here, bringing him back and possibly giving him a chance to take the net on a guy that has yet to play 40 career pro games? Is there such a thing of playing with house money where there's only upside with Joseph Wall, or is that something you still got to be protective of?
No, I like, and Kipper, you know this, sometimes when you're young, you're insulated to pressure. And I like that about him. And he's obviously got talent. He's growing. I think they made the right move by not making a trade or trying to get somebody. He looks to me like a bona fide, real good NHLer. Obviously, there's ups and downs that he's going to have to go through and work through, but he's got tremendous skill. And sometimes when you're young, you've seen goalies come in and steal playoff games, or series like Steve Penny. I mean, there's many examples. And when you're young, you're insulated to that pressure. So sometimes it's a good thing.
So as they head towards, another playoff push here, this sort of core has been together for a while. How do you feel about this year's iteration of the Leafs compared to the previous ones that they've headed towards playoffs with?
Well, if you think adversity is a prerequisite for winning in the playoffs, then they're all set.
Been through a little bit, huh?
Yes, which is good. It's never a bad thing. I don't put a lot of stock in the regular season. It's whoever's hot come playoff time. And if your goaltender's extremely hot and everybody's firing on all cylinders, you can go right through. So I do like the offense is tremendous. I'm a little worried about the defense, but if you have a goalie that gives you great confidence, that can be a game changer. So I'm expecting Joseph Wall, who's a good kid. He seems like to have that to run with it. That's my prediction.
Hey, CuJo, I want to ask you about Austin Matthews, who's projected to have a 70-goal season. You in your heyday went up against a few 70-goal scorers, an 80-goal scorer, I think, in Brett Hull. How do goaltenders go about going up against a guy like that? Or can you get caught up too much on this guy's different, this guy's got a shot that can embarrass me, I got to focus more on him? Or is it, no, you just got to have the same mindset of going into any other hockey game like you do?
So you always know where Glenn Healy can attest to this. You have to know where that guy is on the ice at all times. And you have to be, when he gets a one-timer, he gets a shot, you have to be there early and you have to have no holes. Obviously, you got to be there early and set up. Also, when you're playing a guy like that in the playoffs, you tell your defense, you tell your players, be close to him. Don't let him shoot. He's the guy who can score. The rest of the guys have a way less percentage to score. So unless you want to lose the game, stay close to him. That's how I remember one playoff series, Jaromir Jagr was on the half wall. And I literally would tell Yuskevich, be up in his face. Every time he gets the puck, be up in his face. And their power play was not as efficient. And that's what you have to do. That's what it takes to not get scored on power plays and to win hockey games. It's that one goal. So don't let Jagr shoot. Don't let Austin Matthews shoot. Just be up on him. Know where he is every time he's on the ice. Let's take our chances on the rest of the guys. Yeah,
make someone else beat you. That's pretty sound strategy. Yeah. I see you are around a lot of NHL alum and all that there. Sounds like a fun weekend. Who are you most excited to spend time with here in Toronto this weekend?
Well, honestly, I love doing events and seeing all my old teammates. Like Kelly Chase just came in. We know Kelly Chase's fight, so he's over talking to my buddies, and it was so great to see him, and I'm going to spend some time with him now. And I mean, everybody's got a different story and a different story with you or a different relationship with you, whether it's adversarial against each other or a great teammate. So for us, I think as we get older, we appreciate what we did, and we appreciate former players a little more than when we were playing. So this is the good stuff. We don't have any pressure this weekend. This is the good stuff. We get to tell everybody how good we were and have some fun.
And remarkably still friends with Glenn Healy, right?
Yeah, of course. We were goalie partners, and we talked about defensive strategies many, many times. So, yeah, Heels is a great buddy of mine, and he does a great job for our alumni, writing checks to guys who are less fortunate or fallen on hard times. So we cannot forget the good work that our alumni do.
Yeah, no question about that. I'm leaving the show right now. I'm coming to find you guys. I'm not hanging out with Sammy and JB for the rest of the hour here.
I don't blame you, man. We'll handle it.
It's not fair.
We'll handle it.
It's just not fair. All right, CuJo, we'll let you go, pal, but we really appreciate the effort of coming on the show and then hooking up when we lost you on the feed, man. You're a good man. Thanks for doing this.
Well, I love talking hockey with you guys. You guys are very in the know and very intelligent, and it's always fun. You make it easy for me.
Oh,
thanks, CuJo. Appreciate that.
I might have to buy you a beer.
I'm hoping.
Curtis Joseph, everybody.
See ya. That's quite the crew there. Man, I'd get up out of your seat.
Yeah.
We can handle it.
Yeah. That guy's my hero when I was a kid.
CuJo.
Yeah. Broke my heart bad.
Didn't you
Broke my heart bad when he left.
Yeah.
Didn't you love hearing about going up against a guy like Yager and the top shooters and just that mentality of, listen, you have to take this guy away.
Well, but what it is, Kip, is you look at the Toronto Maple Leafs who haven't gone on these deep runs and the way that they're built and how teams would talk about, say, just make someone else beat me. Don't let it be Marner and Matthews. You know, we'll handle those guys. We'll just make someone else beat me.
It does give you a sense, though, that if the Marners or the Matthews or any other top scorer just cannot get the same rate going in the playoffs as a regular season, it's because of what he's talking about, how it's amplified, the tight checking.
More time to prepare for one team.
The book, putting the book on tendencies and shutting that down. And like we've always said, it's easier to defend than it is to score.
For sure. That was my role with the Marlies before playoff series, is just go through each line, each individual player, identify tendencies, and what can we take away and make them beat us with their C option.
Sammy, you got any more readings for us?
I do have some reading for you. The NHL's transformation of Toronto for the 2024 Rogers NHL All-Star this year includes the NHL Fanfare, a 4-day family-friendly event from February 1st to 4th with interactive hockey games, special appearances by NHL players like Nick Kypreos, and much more. Visit Rogers and Sportsnet for the Fanfare to win awesome hockey prizes, have your photo taken at the Sportsnet broadcast desk, and test the speed of your slap shot with the Rogers Hardest Shot Skills Competition. If you haven't already, be sure to secure your tickets at nhl.com/fanfare while supplies last.
What do they give you for a stick, I wonder, to test your hardest shot? By the way, if you're wearing a pair of Stan Smith Adidas on a piece of plexiglass with a Sherwood PMP, good luck getting it up there.
Isn't like the lore that Iafrate did it in flip-flops, at like 102 in flip-flops, a wood stick?
Here's what I think about that. Yeah, okay.
Oh, good.
What do you think what do you think you could get right now?
Right now?
Yeah.
Am I in flip-flops on a piece of plexiglass?
Or
am I on skates?
I'll give you a pair of Kodiaks. I don't know.
Run up? Like a skate up to
Hush
it.
puppies.
83.
83.
I don't know.
What about you, Kippy?
I don't know if I'd break 80.
Maybe
right
I
now.
won't. Maybe I'm being generous to myself.
Both you guys were excellent at hockey. So.
I don't know if I hit 90. I was like an 88.
Let me skate into one with my proper everything. Maybe. No, I could. I definitely could.
Jacob,
I don't know if I ever
Jacob Chikrin hit one in Ottawa the other day. I think he hit 106.
In game? Oh, in their skills.
In their individual skills.
By the way,
but I think he started to skate from the canal.
Just a full length. By the way, him in overtime and their winner the other day, he went length of the ice, length of the ice, length of the ice at top speed.
Guy flies.
Guy can absolutely fly and shoot it.
Beautiful skater.
Obviously.
Leafs could use a guy like that.
Oh boy.
There's always been interest since Arizona from the Leafs.
Well, that was
for Chikrin.
Well, that was Dewis, but I guess the guy in charge is still the same.
No, there's still interest.
Oh yeah?
Oh yeah.
How much?
We'll wait and see.
Oh, you dirty.
You hear the music? We're out of time.
All right.
All right. Our thanks to Curtis Joseph, Katie Strang from The Athletic off the top of the show. Still plenty more to come, including Emily Kaplan from ESPN. We started touching on expansion. We'll get into that with her. And then Patrick Alvin, who signed a new contract with the Vancouver Canucks, will join us in about 35 minutes. So plenty more on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. Do not go away.
I found it, Kip. I found the information on goalies in the All-Star game.
All right.
Why don't you introduce the hour? I forgot we have to do that.
Did you jump ship here? I'm waiting for Derek to say, go.
I did jump the queue. Sorry.
That's
All
okay.
right.
False start.
Offside.
False start. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Welcome into the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. It's the national edition as we get geared up for the NHL All-Star Weekend. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, Derek Brandeo, Jen Rolnick. with you for the next hour. We are live on Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver, and Sportsnet 960 in Calgary. This hour of Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet 365. Go, JB, go.
100 grand.
100 grand for the goalies
Yep.
is the most that they can win.
Steve Meyer says the winning goalie in the shootout competition will receive $100,000. So 60.
Buddy,
after
I
tax.
can't think of anything more insulting in my life.
You can earn a tenth
A
of what-
tenth.
Well,
A tenth.
There's
I mean, the output is about a tenth as much.
Most likely to pull a groin gets a tenth of everybody
It's
else.
so true. Highest injury risk.
they got to be really, because you get all your gear on, you're way out of your usual routine,
Mhm.
right? And then you're sitting
the
there,
best dekers in the
sitting
world.
there, ice cold. Like, how do you stay warm? You're right. They should be getting more. The winning goalie should be getting $2 million.
CuJo says he'd be cutting deals with whoever was shooting. The chance to win $1 million. So I can see, look, I win 100 grand if I win this thing, or you pay me 200 and I let you score.
Yes, and you'd have good reason,
Yeah,
right?
make money.
Like if the commissioner of the league ever called him in and wanted an inquiry on it, he's like,
Yeah, I did it.
yeah, like
Look
you
at me,
guys,
I'm
you
so-
treat us like crap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was out there putting myself at risk. I was getting that money.
We're literally the most important position in the sports. If you don't have me,
No,
Have
no,
that
no,
event
no,
without
no,
me. Go ahead.
no, they are not. Based on the fact that they can only take 100 grand home while everybody else gets
That's
$1
what-
million, tells you everything you need to know of what the league thinks of your position.
They should feel aggrieved because of that.
We are generating a problem.
You're targets. You're nothing more than human targets.
The disrespect.
Okay, you're
The
a bullseye
disrespect.
for the shooters. That's all. You're
And you know who should be mad? The fans of teams who sent a goalie. Canucks fans see Thatcher Demko going in there,
They should
putting himself on the line.
Why don't they do like junior goalies or
You can't do that.
emergency all-star
get
backups.
Get Airsy in there.
These are terrible ideas.
Get Airsy in there, and what was the other guy? Jet Alexander. Get those guys in there.
Poor Jet. Don't put him in the same boat.
Wow, yeah,
He's
Jet's a real
playing
goalie.
competitive
Yeah,
hockey.
yeah, right. All right. Anyways,
We're going to have Patrick Alvin in about 30 minutes to talk about his new extension as well. So a lot of good things still continuing in Vancouver. But for now, let's go to Emily Kaplan, ESPN hockey reporter, does a terrific job. Emily, are you in Toronto? Are you on your way? Where are you?
We're in the Uber. We are approaching the airport in Chicago. You guys might get me through that. And then we fly to Toronto tonight.
Well, listen, can't wait to have you here. Big weekend ahead of us. Just your overall thoughts about going into the break and what you're going to experience in the next few days.
Yeah, no, I'm super pumped to get to Toronto. It's one of my favorite cities. Reminds me a lot of Chicago. Similarities, the Lake of Friends. In fact, all that. We've got better architecture. You guys have better Asian food. So, I think just the juice around the weekend, it's always there. It's one of the best weekends of the year just because it feels like a lot of the NHL descends in one place and there's just an energy around that. And then I think that the All-Star game might just have a little extra juice this year in years past. I know it's grown kind of stale. And we at ESPN the last 2 years broadcasting it didn't feel great about it, especially the skills competition, which strayed away from it, got a little bit gimmicky. And it seems like Connor McDavid and some of the guys in the league kept the NHL in line, offered their ideas. So I think the fact that skills actually matters this year is pretty exciting. It seems, talking to some of the guys, the fact that winner gets $1 million, second place gets absolutely nothing. The stakes are real there.
The winner gets $1 million, but the goalies can only win 100,000. We were just complaining about that. Do you think that's fair?
No, I mean, I feel for goalies this year, right? Like, this is the year they're maligned on everything. The shooters get all the advantages, state percentage is down, and now we disrespect them with this. So I'm with you. I honestly think they should boycott. I'm still saying that.
Boy, they should actually form a picket line. I love it.
Emily,
Yeah, where's the goalie union?
Yeah.
storylines coming into the All-Star weekend. Where do you have expansion as one of them? Because we keep hearing more rumblings about Utah and the fact that maybe Gary Bettman and his owners are just running out of patience with Arizona.
Yeah, I've been to a million of these league events now, and there's always the Gary Bettman press conference the morning of or the day before. And it feels like every year it's the same version of these questions. And expansion always comes up, and the Arizona situation always comes up. But this year, I do feel like there's some imminent movement going on. And I think behind the scenes, there's clearly progression that the league has made with Utah. This is a preferred ownership group. Ryan Smith, who's done a really good job with the Jazz as well as the MLS team, got some ties to hockey. He's got some ties to the Devils ownership group. He's clearly built up a relationship with Gary Bettman to the point where another owner told me he clearly trusts him. And it feels like right now it's inevitable that Salt Lake, and really they're going to call it Utah because they don't know if the arena is going to be in Salt Lake or not, is getting a team. And whether it's Arizona, whether it's an expansion team, I don't know. I asked Ryan Smith that. He says he doesn't care. Just get the NHL to Utah. So I expect some movement there over the next couple months because, look, the Arizona situation's got to come to a head. And it seems like Gary Bettman at least put a complete contingency plan in place. But also, if that's, if they figure out Arizona, that's great. Everyone's happy. You get almost $1 billion, if not more, with this new expansion fee. And I think the owners are going to have a hard time saying no to that.
And they probably won't. My 2 cents is that it should be in Salt Lake City if they're going to do it, not somewhere else in Utah. But the question I have there is just...
Just to be clear there, it's more so just, it's now this expanding metropolis. It's one of the fastest growing regions in the U.S. So if they build a new arena, which it sounds like they will, it just might be in one of the fancy suburbs closer to Park City.
Yeah. Fair enough. It is a good hockey place. And I can see why they want it there. My question, though, is just you mentioned the ownership group and, Bettman sees it as a preferred ownership group. How much of where these teams go, expansion teams and whatever, is about the people it's going to versus the city it's going to?
Yeah, I think it's hard to handicap which one is more important because I think they weigh pretty heavily for Gary Bettman. In terms of markets, I think they look at Utah. They look at the way that they've supported the Jazz. The fact that, as I mentioned, it's a really fast-growing market. It's an affluent market. There's a lot of tech there. Ryan Smith, being this preferred guy, he reminded me a couple times. He's in his early 40s. He's still very active in the tech world. So that market is good for those reasons, but then also the ownership group is important. And it's the people Gary Bettman wants to go into business with. And Ryan Smith did pitch himself on hey, my company is pretty successful, and I have a day-to-day purview of what's going on in tech and innovations. And if you want your league to go forward and you really want it to grow, I can have an active voice there. And I think Gary Bettman, who a lot of times does run an insular circle, does seem open to that idea, bringing in a person like that into the NHL realm.
We're talking to Emily Kaplan from ESPN. Emily, in terms of the talk of Utah, where is Atlanta? I believe that, there's a report from Kevin Weeks talking about a building coming in Atlanta today. But outside of that, is 34 the magic number now for Gary Bettman to hit in the next few years?
And it's tough to say. I can't quite get a grasp of what's really going on in Atlanta, rather. I know that there are some active NHL people involved in that project trying to get it there. Anson Carter probably being the most forward-facing. We know that it's a market that the NHL has tried and has left again. So we'll see. I really can't get a sense. I do know, though, that it feels like once the NHL gets another team, Utah does seem next in line. But once they see the expansion fee for Utah, which is going to be far more than Seattle, which was far more than Vegas, you think that everyone might get a little greedy here and want to expand more. What that does to the product on the ice, I can't say, but I do know that the union and players are probably happy at least about a couple more jobs.
So this is a weekend that we typically celebrate hockey and all the positive and fun things, the great players and all that. But Bettman is going to have to answer questions about the sort of Hockey Canada scandal, I shouldn't say scandal, the thing that's going on up here with the kids who have all been charged. How do you expect the NHL to handle these players? It seems like it could be a couple years before this court case gets all the way through. How do you expect Gary to handle these players in the interim?
Thank you. Sorry, I'm just getting to the airport. What beautiful timing. First time you had it to me, a tough question. No, but I think this is going to be a really delicate one for the NHL to navigate. I do believe that the teams will have grounds if these players are charged to terminate contracts. I mean, there's standard clauses in every contract about behavioral and codes. And you look at what happened with Corey Perry. There was not a criminal matter, but Chicago had no problem terminating his contract. Of course, the union did have some grievances with it. But what I would expect is the NHL to take a lot of caution here. They have, because they haven't wanted to act above the London Police Department at any point of this. They're trying to follow the precedent of what's going on with the law. So I'd expect them to put these players on some sort of commissioner's exempt list, whether they're paid or unpaid. That's unclear to me. And the truth is, all of these guys are not locked up to long-term deals with their teams. Most of them, if not all of them, I believe, do become free agents this summer. So I think it's going to be a situation where the league is going to try to let these teams involved weather it out for the next couple months, and then basically say, hey, look, you don't re-sign them, our hands are washed. They can't sue us for, this or that, and we'll take it from there. But, one other aspect that's just been kind of uncomfortable for a lot of these teams, the 5 players on the 3 teams in the NHL, is that the players haven't been honest at all with their general managers or front offices of what's going on. That's been under the guidance of their lawyers. So I do know that a lot of these front offices feel like their hands are tied and they're kind of just coming to head with what the reality is now.
Emily, is that what happened with Calgary? Just a lack of information? Because there's a lot of people that are skeptical.
Yeah. That's my sense. And I know it feels really unsavory and uncomfortable just to blanketly say mental health and all the strides we've made about being transparent about mental health. And now to say, okay, can we trust anyone who's going to use that as an excuse? But I was told a couple different times when I was, making calls on the story that teams in these front offices really were left in the dark. And the players were like, look, I can't say anything. I just need a leave of absence. So my sense is Dylan Dubé, under the guidance of his lawyers, cited mental health. The Flames put it out there, and now we're looking a bit silly.
Yeah. Kip, are you good on that topic? Anyone else who wants to hear more on that? We talked to Katie Strang a little bit about it in the first hour as well. Emily, wanted to get your thoughts as we head towards trade deadline about potential names that could be involved. We know you always have your ear to the streets up here in Canada. If you mention a name, it makes a story. What's going on out there? Is there going to be some active Canadian teams?
Yeah, I think there will be some active Canadian teams. This year, like all the other years, every time I'm making my calls, everyone's trying to temper expectations. The stagnant salary cap, it's going to be really boring. This year, the excuse everyone's citing is all of these teams mucked in the middle, fighting for playoff races. So you don't really know who the buyers or sellers is. But when I was making calls over the last several weeks, there was one team that kept coming up as the one team that feels like it's going to go all in this year. And that's the Vancouver Canucks. I think that front office, you'll talk to Patrick Alvin after me, so maybe you can ask him this directly.
Yeah.
But it seems like they're really happy with what they have to begin with. I think if a guy like Jake Gensel becomes available in Pittsburgh, he's probably number 1 on their target list. He does have a history with Jim Rutherford, but I think the Canucks are going to go for it, and I wouldn't be surprised if the other Canadian teams out as well. It just feels like this year you have so many good options to break that streak, but we'll see how it all shakes out.
Emily, I'll ask you one more, and we'll let you catch your flight, I promise. The Los Angeles Kings and the fall here. Some people are suggesting maybe they're going to take the All-Star break to kind of reassess. Are you hearing anything out of L.A. that would suggest that, they might even be thinking about a coaching change? Is that possible?
It's been so stunning. And from what I understand over the last several weeks, as this really began to deteriorate, the front office has been pretty steadfast of we need to run our course. Teams go through slumps, and they really believe in Todd McClellan. He's under a long contract. They feel like he's the biggest reason why they were able to take this jump, get out of the rebuild. They find him to be a genius and really brilliant and have a way with these players. But the longer this goes, good men lose their job all the time in this league, and it's fair or unfair. I mean, just look at Edmonton and Jay Woodcroft. So I wouldn't be surprised if that situation changes, if these losing piles up, because let's face it, this is embarrassing. You shouldn't have to unravel like this mid-season, especially with the leadership group that they have. So we'll see how it shakes out. I do know, though, that the front office really was preaching stability, saying, look, we're not going to go at the trade deadline, get a lot of players. We're getting Arvidsson back. That's going to be our trade deadline ad. We're in it with this group. We're in it with this coaching staff. But things can change pretty quickly when the losses pile.
Emily, safe travels, and we'll see you soon.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. Thanks for bearing me through this transition. But I'm at the airport, so thank you.
Thanks, Emily. Appreciate it.
All right, safe travels. Emily Kaplan, ESPN
Oh,
hockey
no.
reporter.
She hung up on it.
A dial tone. She on a house phone?
Dial tone. Did she use a rotary phone?
When's the last time you heard a dial tone?
It's been a while. Been a while.
So,
Um,
main takeaway?
Main takeaway? Just LA's intriguing right now because the all-star representative is Talbot.
Yeah.
And
he's been not
but he was great off the start, and it got to the point where eyebrows were raised. It's like, this guy's just as good as he's ever been. But are they now looking for a goalie before they think about a coaching change?
Well, I guess that's a place to start. Tough for everyone to find a goalie. On the...
Would they overpay for Markstrom to get him to
Certainly could
lift?
be. I mean, right now, it just seems like every time you see a team take a big swing and commit to a goalie, I think of Korpisalo. It's like it hasn't panned out. When's the last big goalie contract that you're like, yeah, that's really looking good. So Markstrom still has 3 years left. That's the big
At
one.
least 2 for sure, if not 3.
I'm just looking at Cam Talbot's since January 7th, basically the start of the new year. 882, 897, 927, 815, 821, 865, 750.
Not great.
It's like, well, I mean, you can kind of, it makes you feel stupid talking about hockey because, like, God, the Sens, God, they can't win a game. God, the Kings, they look awful. It's like, well, look at the goalie stats a lot of time, and it kind of tells you a story. Like, I know it's not all that, but the Kings were a pretty good defensive team. That was kind of what their calling card was when they were playing well at the start of the year. Were they good defensively? Were they just getting way more? It all comes back to the goalies who are only getting 100,000 at the skills.
Yes, correct. I would say the other takeaway from Emily to me is the Gensel-Rutherford connection, which I hadn't put together. Because I know that Vancouver has been linked to Gensel at times as another offensive guy.
Yeah.
But Rutherford did have him. Rutherford would have seen probably the best of him at times.
To me, it's very unlike Kyle Dubas to trade Gensel.
Well, you have seen him.
He's more of a guy that
rental.
would try to sign him.
Or just not trade him and lose him.
It was
That was a Kyle Dubas.
That to me is not an option. It's not an option for Kyle Dubas.
Well, he's
to
done
sign
it in
him and
Toronto
lose him.
10 times.
Like when it's JVR, Bozak, who else? Hyman.
Mid.
Hyman.
Mid then.
Hyman's a
Star
50-goal
now.
scorer.
Mid then. They thought they didn't know what they had.
Yeah.
He knows what he has with Gensel. You can't put him in the same category as those guys. This guy's a legitimate scoring star in the National Hockey League.
Jake Gardner, too, he did that with. Mid. But I don't know.
Good players. You just
But
made it up.
I know he's, what did we say? Kyle had a 6-year deal? 7-year deal?
7,
I don't care. Pressure's on him not to screw up this.
There's no
No,
pressure
there
on
is.
him.
No. I disagree.
I don't think there's pressure necessarily.
You can't get it wrong.
Well,
Let's
There's
put
no
it that way.
contract pressure. There's people calling him a joke or whatever.
I think
he's not getting fired in.
Yeah,
2
there's no
years.
pressure from internally.
I think in 2 or 3 years he could get fired.
Really?
Babcock got fired in what year?
Babcock got fired before he coached a game in Columbus, so maybe it could happen.
I'm talking Toronto.
No,
I'm talking Toronto.
Year 5 of 8.
Okay. I mean, yeah, he's going to stick around. I'm not suggesting that he's going to get fired because he made one bad trade. But what I'm saying is,
If it goes bad now.
if it goes bad now and it has a domino effect on him, you think this Fenway group gives a crap about his long-term deal?
I did prior to this conversation.
This is a multi-billion-dollar corporation that owns biggest teams in the world. I don't think Kyle's contract's going to hold them up either way if they want to.
Yeah.
They should just trade Sid.
That's not happening.
No?
No.
Okay. I mean,
Unless Sid wants it to happen, right?
yeah, I guess he wants to be one team his whole career.
Yeah.
But to me, they're just never going to win anything.
Yeah.
It's like maybe he's satisfied. He's had a wonderful first ballot Hall of Fame, one of the all-time great careers. Maybe he's just like, I want to be a one-team guy. But like, to me, free him. No, truly, free him from that. Like, it's like they're going the wrong way.
Listen, they're going to make the playoffs.
Nah,
and
they're
they
not.
could win a round.
I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, Cap.
Tell me who's going to make the playoffs. Because I'm seeing teams that don't want to make the playoffs.
So right now in the in the Metro,
Yeah.
if you do, so I'll just do wild card or whatever.
Sure.
Detroit is in the second wild card spot at 57 points.
Okay, they're going to be better than Detroit.
They have 3 games in hand and 6 points behind Detroit. So they are, they can get there if they win those games. Islanders are a point ahead of them too, but
They're better than the Islanders.
Islanders are minus 23 goal differential.
Yeah,
Penguins
plus 10.
They're going to be fine.
You're, I guess, and
You're not telling me who's going to make the playoffs, and they're not.
I'm looking at this, Kipper, and I hate to admit this to you, first time ever, you might be right. But and even look at the third spot in the Metro. Like, is Philly going to stay there?
Philly's.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Like, that's probably a spot up for
Even
grabs.
Philly doesn't think Philly's going to stay there.
So.
And no
They're gonna-
Carter Hart.
Yeah, they're going to start selling off pieces. Carter Hart's gone.
Gone.
Yeah.
Right?
So they're going to,
they're getting in. They're
All
getting
right,
in.
give us game time.
first time.
We'll break and then prep for Patrick Alvin.
Yeah, we'll do
All right.
game time here.
And then, I did hear some news for Sportsnet 916 Calgary on. You read this and I'll get to it.
What do you got?
Oh, just some Hannafin talk that I heard. Anyways, go ahead.
Okay.
Let's make sure to get back to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Remind me, would you?
Yeah.
I've had 6 concussions.
Bold text.
There's actually a couple good hockey games tonight for a change.
Okay.
After the last 2 nights, but tonight we have Ottawa and Detroit, which is a pretty good game.
Time.
Oh yeah, thank you for that reminder. It's game time. Presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds to find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 18 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. I've only been doing this every day since October. I don't know why I would forget to read that. Pretty even money on Detroit and Ottawa tonight. Minus 115 for Detroit, minus 105 for Ottawa. Bet365 has no idea what to do with this. They probably saw last night's results and were like, neither team's going to be trying.
Yeah.
Ottawa got a nice win, comeback win. You could sell yourself on the momentum coming into this, get another good win going into the break, or you could sell that they're going to completely pull the shoot. I don't really know which way I lean, but I would lean Sens in that game.
Pro Sens, you know that.
And then the other one that's a pretty good game is the Kings and Preds. Kings need something desperately.
No, they have to win this game.
They desperately need this one.
Kind of like Toronto going into Winnipeg,
Yeah.
those last 2 games where like, hey, you want to take the edge off this weekend?
Yeah.
Go win a hockey game.
So they're minus 120. I feel like Bet365 feels the exact same way about that. Nashville's plus 100. Kings have looked really bad. Haven't been getting a lot of saves. Not bad value on the Preds, who don't suck as bad as I think they do.
I'm all over the Kings now.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Kings
There's
win.
too much at stake there.
Okay.
And Nashville didn't look great
Nashville
against
stinks.
Ottawa, blowing a 3-0 lead.
And the last game of before the All-Star break is the San Jose Sharks and the Anaheim Ducks. Feels like the San Jose Sharks the Anaheim Ducks should probably not be minus 185 favorites over anyone.
Yeah.
But the Sharks in the second night of a back-to-back, who knows? Hey, here's a
Don't
stay
bet
away.
that one.
Stay away.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Sometimes that's the best advice.
that was game time, presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds to find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
Yeah, that's a friends and family game.
Yeah, that's
For sure.
there is not. That's a no hitter.
Yeah.
Last game before the All-Star
Yes,
break. Too bad
easy,
teams.
easy.
We're
I got
going
a
to go to
tea
break?
time. Yeah, I got a tea time in Cabo.
All right.
Yeah. Gonna break.
Okay, we'll take a quick break, and when we return, Patrick Alvin will join us, general manager of the Vancouver Canucks. We'll talk about short-term, maybe long-term goals of Vancouver, including what we can expect at the trade deadline. And as I said earlier, we'll discuss Hannafin and his situation, short-term, long-term, with the Calgary Flames.
All righty.
Plenty more. Real Kyper and Bourne. Don't go away. The Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. As we anticipate, Patrick Alvin will join us. God, these guys have their timing couldn't have been better between Patrick and Jimmy Rutherford.
Yeah.
Team's doing okay. I think I need a new contract.
I mean, that is strike when the iron's hot. It's a good lesson for us.
Yeah. All right, just before we get to Patrick, just want to touch base a little bit still in Calgary.
Yeah.
Because Emily did talk about let's face it, Calgary Flames are taking a lot of heat over their press statement, their original press release on Dylan Dubé that really centered around mental health and the attention that was towards that release, and then ultimately finding out through his lawyers that he is one of 5. But, Emily did make a point that perhaps there's a lot of people here still in the dark on a lot of things. And, my first thought, much like most of them, is like, oh boy, did Calgary really screw up? But they're not dumb people there. No. They just wouldn't do that. Yeah. There's just nothing. There's nothing there that will make me believe that at the time Calgary didn't honestly believe this.
Yeah, well I would say that I was in the camp of, I didn't pile on, but you think like, how could they actually do that? And then you hear what Emily said to us, and it's like, well, yeah, they probably were instructed to not be truthful, and like there's a lot to be there's a lot in the, like, there's a lot of gray area.
Yeah, the press release said that Dylan Dubé is taking a leave of absence for mental health reasons. Yeah. And I think if that's what the player tells the organization, that you can't say, well, we actually, like you just, okay.
Yeah.
That's all.
Not going to do a lot of digging on that.
Right. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think they probably took it for face value.
Right.
For sure. Could there have been a way that made it protected themselves a little better?
They were the only org who did that. So yes is the answer.
Well, others just said personal leave. Right. Yeah. I mean, but I think the bigger point in this is just, for me, is just the lack of information. And that includes like Hockey Canada, NHL, London Police, the NHLPA. Like, I can honestly sit here and tell you that I don't believe that any of those groups are sharing a lot of information. It's like, you take care of yours, you take care of yours, you take care of yours, and we're going to do our investigation here. And when we have something to report, you're going to hear it like everybody else is going to hear it.
Yeah.
That's the way it's coming across to me.
Yeah.
Led by now the London Police. Gary, I'm not sure Gary knows any much more out of the London Police than you or me or anybody in the media.
Well, and it does sort of feel like this is how these sorts of things work, right? Someone is charged, they run through their due process. We'll find out the result at the end. Until then, it isn't a sporting event for us to sit here and speculate on or whatever. It's, so.
Yeah. And we don't speculate. There's not a lot of opinion because we don't know anything.
And there's a lot of people, like you said, they just watch your own bobber. Don't worry about what's happening over there or there. You just keep your eyes straight ahead and do your own work.
What is there something about Hanifin that you mentioned before?
Oh,
speaking of Calgary.
Yeah, there's just a real sense that Hanifin's going to take the All-Star weekend break to think about a contract that is out there for him.
They've made an offer, we think.
My understanding is, there's something there that if he's comfortable enough, he could sign.
Wow.
And there's a very good chance it's big.
Oh, yeah?
Well, how old did we say he is? He's one of those rare guys that hits UFA at 27. He's 26 maybe, turning 27.
Yeah, he just turned 27.
Just turned 27. So, like, there's not a world, I think, that an agent wouldn't ask for 8 years.
And he should get 8.
He should get 8.
Yeah.
And what?
So he'll be sipping a pina colada somewhere going.
What would 8 times, say, 7.5 be, hypothetically?
Quick math on that is like 60?
60.
Yeah.
60. Would that be a big number?
No.
No? I think that's a big number.
It's a big number. It's a big contract, $60 million, but
I don't know how he could refuse that.
Yeah.
And I'm saying if Calgary has that on the table.
Right.
Did you hear that, everybody? If.
That's Morgan Riley's contract, right?
Yes.
The exact number.
7.5.
Is that $2 million less per year than Darnell Nurse? Is that, and Seth Jones, like D-men are tough to come by. If I'm Noah Hannafin, yes, that's appealing. It's a lot of money and you do it, but I don't think I don't think it's wildly out of range.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And for the Flames, too, trying to keep good players and not do a full bottom out.
Yeah.
I like it.
And if he chooses to perhaps go to free agency and leave and Calgary doesn't get anything for him, the most you can sign is 7 years, which makes it a lot harder to get to 60 million.
Yes. Yeah, certainly. So well, that'd be good news if you're a Flames fan. I think that there are rumors out there that Noah Hannafin could be sticking around depending on his decision making on the offer and all that.
I think one way or another we'll get some sort of feel.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of smart people out there that can find out in a week or less if he's going to start getting pushed.
The one thing I do wonder
as a trade deadline guy.
I do wonder though, Kip, if he is 27 and hasn't won a Stanley Cup or anything like that. And if you look at the Flames and their direction, they traded Zadorov. They're probably going to trade Tanev. Like they're doing stuff, right, to go the other direction. You're playing in, let's just say it, one of the worst buildings in the NHL to be a player in at this point. And I know they have a new building coming, but it's 2024, and I think that's ready in 2027.
Which he will be less than halfway through his contract.
Yeah, he'll get a big piece of the other building for sure. But I'm just saying, if I were in his shoes, I would have just a little pause about the direction of the team over the next 3 years.
Yeah, or you'll be like, give me all the money right now before I don't deserve all that money.
Yes.
Give me it all.
That's the smart thing to do.
I would like all of that money.
Can you
always ask for a trade.
Can you see the Calgary Flames being in a situation where they're looking at Vancouver and going, geez, if they can do it, so can we.
Yeah, well, Vancouver has probably
18
sunk
months.
10 franchises single-handedly here by not bottoming out and turning it around to being the President's Trophy favorite. You have a lot of teams going, hey, we don't have to get bad to do that. And it's tough to do without elite talent. What the real trick that Vancouver pulled was being as bad as they were with elite talent. That was really the exceptional thing.
Still waiting on Alvin. Maybe he got pulled into Elias Pettersson.
He's got a meeting with his bank manager. That would keep me from coming on my show, our show.
I can imagine.
A show.
Kipper, did you see the Athletic? They do a great one every year. I hate to give them too much pub, but they did the anonymous NHL player poll thing.
I did see it briefly.
Can I?
But Connor's on every list, is he not?
Did you go through
Not of
it?
most punchable faces.
Did you go through it, or can I quiz you?
Yes, you can quiz me because I do know what most exciting.
No, the list is who's the best player.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah. Who's the best? Who's best goalie? Who are the most underrated and overrated players? Who's the player you'd most like to punch? Best and worst refs, favorite jersey, and favorite and least favorite road cities. So you start with the first one. It's very obvious.
Best player in the league, McDavid at about 70%.
69.6%. 06%. Yeah.
But
and where's McKinnon?
16. Second. Yeah.
But like how far back?
60%.
Okay,
As opposed to 70.
Not bad.
Yeah.
So third is interesting. Who do you think the players have as the third best player in the NHL? Right?
Leon or Cale Makar?
Cooch. Nikita Kucherov, 7%.
Yeah.
I feel like all these.
You love Cooch.
I feel like
love
all these
Cooch.
players just went and looked at the
Yeah.
stats. They're like, oh, there they are.
Oh, that's like the writers voting on the trophies.
Can't argue with that. But
Sid comes in fourth, then Cale Makar, then Kaprizov. Matthews got 1.1% of the vote. Who's the best goalie in the league?
still Vasilevsky.
Yeah, 44%.
Yeah.
Hellebuck second, Demko third, Sorokin,
And Sorokin
Shesterkin.
fourth.
I guess the other players didn't watch the first round of the playoffs last year.
Yeah, it wasn't his finest showing. Well,
No,
Vasilevsky, but he short summer.
Back.
Or sorry, he had a
issues.
long summer, had surgery, missed 2 months of the season. He's back. He's humming again.
You're so scared of him.
Nah, I don't want to talk about that.
How about Marc-Andre Fleury still getting 2.73% of the vote?
That's insane. That's a legacy vote. Like Carey
Who are
Price
you
was the
people?
best goalie in the league, like last year.
In all
They
the
voted.
polls,
yeah.
yeah.
So like
Now, is he going to want to get traded now,
who?
Fleury, unless he's got some assurances that he's going to get a chance to be a number one goalie?
You think that's what he wants? He wants to go somewhere
Come on,
and
he
play?
doesn't. he does not want to go and be a cheerleader.
Doesn't that smell like LA to you? Like a place you could actually be the starter?
LA? Carolina? Is there news on Freddie?
Anderson back on the ice.
Yeah. He's back on the ice doing
So-
hockey things again.
Frederick.
I hear Carolina, Colorado, and it has to be LA.
Well,
For-
yeah,
for Fleury.
Colorado, Georgiev plays literally every game.
Yeah.
They need to, I think he's way in ahead for starts this year. So there's a couple one other ones I wanted to go with you, Kyper. I hate the underrated player in the league. You know
It's
who it's
actually
gonna
the
be.
least interesting of these.
But Kyper, you know who the most underrated player is going to be? It's the same guy every year.
Same guy every year. Well,
Barkov. He's not underrated.
I don't know. He's making $10 million.
Yeah.
is
Well,
he
yeah,
not?
he gets
He's the
Selkie
guy-
Trophy votes. He's a captain.
He's a captain of one of the
all-star.
best teams in the league.
So,
why does everyone
like-
always say that?
Where's Hyman now at $5 million, $5.5 million?
Hyman is got 3.5% of the vote.
But I do think that people.
So he's up there.
He's up there.
Okay, that
So-
makes sense to me now.
What is interesting, I think the most overrated player in the league is a statement that the players made here. More flash and dash than substance. And
Barkov's just not a numbers guy. That's all.
no,
What about overrated?
for overrated guy, more flash and dash than substance.
Overrated. So I don't know.
You've said it before, Zegras.
Oh, really?
Yeah, first in the 12, the most vote with
You're hearing
12.8%.
his name out there a lot more now.
Yeah,
Why? Like, who's going to pay that? Like, what's
I
he
said-
making?
No,
Did I
no,
read
no. He's on a
Engels pair him to
short-term.
Montreal today.
He's on a bridge deal at. I know it's a lot of money, but he signed like Anaheim did not commit to him.
Mhm.
He didn't get the 8 years.
No, they
So
don't see him as a part of the solution.
No.
It doesn't seem.
Yeah, he signed a 3-year, $5.75 million contract.
yeah,
I mean, to me, the other teams have pro scouts. Like,
Right.
why would you be trading anything for that contract? Was he have 3 goals
Because he's
this year?
young and he has
Oh,
120
listen,
points in 160 games.
If I have faith
whatever
that this
his career
guy's grown up and matured a little bit, I would
Or they
grab him.
can, yeah.
I would grab him in a heartbeat.
Buy low. Buy low on a
You are
talent.
buying low.
But the other overrated players, Matthew Tkachuk is third on that list. It's 6.9%. Jason Robertson, Ovechkin's in there, Hubert Oza in there.
Wow.
So is Mitch
It's
Marner. by the way.
kind of
Yeah,
remarkable.
Marner got 2.97%.
I don't get that. Like Marner's a top 5 scorer the last 4 or 5 years in the league.
Because he's in Toronto.
Yeah.
He's in
And
Toronto. and
He has
gets
he has
blown
a
up.
bad week and people hate him.
Yeah, he's on the list. No other Leafs on that list. Oh, Tavares got 1 vote. There. Player in the league whose face you most want to punch went to Nick Cousins over
Oh,
Brad
that's
Marchand.
that's an easy one this year.
Very recency bias sort of thing, eh?
28.5% of the vote for Nick Cousins.
It's pretty impressive. Brad Marchand, Tkachuk, Bunting, Garland, Hathaway,
I can't help but
the other
go,
Tkachuk.
can't help but go through this list.
The brothers are there, right?
Yeah.
How is there being 0 Leafs in that
No
list?
Leaf
hurts
got a
me.
vote, not
Yeah.
even 1 vote.
Yeah, that's you'd like one
Who?
guy on there. I don't know, maybe Domi. Doesn't he have a punchable face? Doesn't he get after guys a little bit?
He
thought
got
maybe
1
would-
overrated vote.
Yeah, maybe he would sneak in.
My punchable face when I played the New Jersey Devils as a Ranger was Billy Guerin's.
Really?
And I knew he was bigger and tougher than me and heavier and probably could beat
Yeah.
me up. I still wanted to punch him in the face, though.
He's he had that sort of arrogant, in a good way, the
I
confidence.
know.
that-
And then you meet him and he's funny
Nicest guy,
and he's
yeah.
just like the best guy to hang out with. And I'm like,
what was the guy in practice that he would have?
yeah, Drainey.
Yeah. Maybe don't ask his opinion. I don't care.
How about best ref in the game and worst ref in the game were nearly voted the same guy. Wes McCauley, number 1 as best ref in the game, 53%. He also was in the top 3 for worst ref in the game.
that's all Leaf fans
Yeah, that hate him.
who think that
Sheldon Keefe voted for him.
Surely he did.
the number 1 referee that screws the Leafs.
McCauley.
Yes.
Yeah, they've had
according to the fan
terrible
base.
luck with him.
Can I make it admit? I've really graduated from ref stuff. It used to be like my number 1 hobby horse, and I really used to be on the side of the people who are like, oh, it's against the Leafs, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But McCauley, I don't know.
You buy into that one a little bit.
Does he still ham up the fights?
Fighting. Like,
I've never
Just-
seen
just-
that before. When they call the fighting, they actually bring their hands up and they shake them a little bit.
Just call the trip.
No, have you
Wes.
not seen this?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
What is that?
It's great. Whatever, an entertainment product.
Just
They
call
should
the-
have Bruce
just call the
Buffer do it.
trip. Call the trip. 2 minutes trip. Like, we don't need the fighting.
The ref show.
Who was the worst ref? I didn't even get to that one. Justin St. Pierre.
I don't know all their names.
No.
I'll
Well,
be
that's
the
a lot
first
of the
one
players.
doing
If you
that.
read the article, a lot of the players said, I know their faces, but they don't know the names.
Yeah.
Favorite road city to play in.
This is
New York City.
New York City's number 2 now.
Number
thanks to a
2,
new
Vegas.
team. Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
I said to Sam, how would New York not be 1? How is there not more of everything in New York City?
Having just been in Las Vegas,
Yeah.
being a young,
Listen, it's awesome.
young rich hot guy
For you, yeah.
in Las Vegas would be pretty fun.
Yeah.
So when
That's
I
true.
played with the Washington Capitals, going into New York City for the first time, and Ike Corvo at the time,
Mhm.
teammate of mine, likes to go out and have a good time back then.
Yep.
He's like, I'm going straight to my room. And I'm like, well, okay, then meet me later for dinner or we'll meet at a bar.
Mm.
No, I don't leave my room in New York City. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't leave your room in New York City?
Okay.
He goes, yeah. First time I was here, got mugged, ripped my overcoat right off me.
And that was it for him.
And that was it.
Just
Never went out.
Yeah.
Greatest city in the world.
I'm
Never
like,
going back out
Dude,
again.
like anecdotal stuff like that kills me. Like, did you just assume every time you left like no one in New York City walks around without getting mugged?
But we'll go 6 of us.
Yeah.
You got Alan May, who probably led the league in penalty minutes back then. You'll be fine. Like, nope. Room service.
Least favorite city to play in.
Least
Favorite road city.
Buddy, I played in Hartford, Connecticut, the insurance capital of the world, and I could have fun there.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. So
Okay.
Winnipeg got the nod here is the
a lot.
Yeah, pretty runaway. But, the complaint from a lot of people, the players, in reading it is just you're looking for stuff to do. And Ottawa was second because you're in Canada and there's just nothing.
You're
Like,
way
Ottawa
out
downtown is great.
Yeah.
There's nothing around the rink, around that area.
Isn't it like an
Tempe Phoenix is 5th, which is insane. But then you think of Mullet Arena.
Well, I mean, have they ever been to the Old Town?
Well, there's no shortage of things to do in
Yeah.
the city. It's just
Carolinas.
the rinks. The rink.
The Carolinas rinks.
Carolina's 4th.
Yeah.
Yeah, right behind Buffalo.
I could see
Or
that.
3rd, yeah. But yeah, Calgary's right there behind Phoenix, and I'm sure
And,
that's a great thing as well.
How are we going to feel about Salt Lake City?
Buddy, I think they're going to love it. They're going to love it.
The dads are gonna love it. Isn't it like there's no aren't there like strict rules there?
There's sunshine, and you can golf and ski in the same day in the winter. It's going to be a great place to be a player. I don't know about visitor. You're right, because it is strict for social life. But
Yeah.
in the winter, man,
What,
you
you
just
can't
take some
find a
sunshine.
cocktail?
It is certainly more challenging to find a cocktail.
But you can.
you can.
Just got to
can.
look in the right spot.
gotta be a member.
Back in the day, you dug one up.
Yeah, we've been able to find a couple. That's for sure.
And the last one is, what's the best jersey in the league?
There's a lot of good ones right now.
But
I don't know. The Rangers is always nice.
Blackhawks is number 1. 21%.
Yeah.
And then it's the original. It's
The only
original
noteworthy
6 in
thing
order.
to me is that original 6, Seattle, Arizona, were next.
Arizona. Oh, probably the Kachina.
Yeah.
Those ones are nice.
People like that.
For sure. And then the Sharks are really nice. I actually agree wholeheartedly with this list until you get to Colorado.
Vegas. Ugh.
I don't like Colorado's. Vegas are nice. My Golden Knights.
Vile sweaters, Vegas.
My Golden Knights
Maybe the
really
worst
do it
in the
well.
league.
Yeah.
Are they going to hand out sunglasses for the All-Star jerseys?
Oh my God. Yeah. I forget who tweeted out today what year All-Star game were those that you were showing me, the
Oh,
like
they're
1988
beautiful.
or whatever
They're
they are, the orange Wales and Campbell conference stuff. And this year you got that bubblegum Carl's Jr. ass logo with the
To me, this would have been such an easy year to be like, we're in Toronto, the mecca of hockey. Let's do like a classic.
and old time.
It doesn't have to be totally, but like inspired by it. Not inspired by Drew House. Like, I love Bieber. I love the
You do.
Biebs.
I
I'd
know
go
you
to his
do.
concert.
Biebs ain't going traditional, pal.
But like, does it all have to be
Bad
Bieber?
for his
But what
image.
direction are they good? Are they even like throwback fun
No,
90s
no,
good?
no,
Like there's not
no,
even a direction they're
no.
good in. There's
So Bieber, are you going to the Bieber concert?
Is there some sort of Bieber?
No.
Bieber.
No.
Come on.
No.
You could get in there.
Maybe.
If there was one member of Toronto media that's getting into the Bieber concert, it's definitely Kip.
But I'd be the oldest guy there.
Yeah, that's okay. Maybe the Biebs listens.
It's not out of the question. He's a Leafs fan. I don't know.
I think it's out of the question. All right.
So
I guess Alvin.
Is he going to be wearing his puffy jacket?
yeah, you love the puffy jacket. He's got
He'll
style.
be sweating like bullets if he's wearing that during the concert.
Well, I am curious to see who we round up when we head to the fanfare. It's not going to be Justin Bieber, but we will be down there and asking questions of whomever alumni is around. Some of your friends,
Come
I believe.
visit us.
We still have a full day to go till we get there. A full day of nothing. So what do you guys want to talk about tomorrow?
I got nothing.
We got the draft.
I did want to read.
We're not reacting to the draft. The draft is happening
Yes,
tomorrow.
oh yeah.
Okay, your mission tomorrow
Oh, great.
for tomorrow's show
Here we go,
is
yes.
to book
7 guests?
12.
I do.
No problem.
I want to shout out Ali Kareem, who listens
Oh,
to the
yeah.
show, and he won tickets to the All-Star game. Was really excited about it. Reached out and sent a
You
nice
won
note
from who? Us?
Us.
through our show. Yeah,
our show.
he
Did we
entered
give
the
tickets away?
He entered
We did
every
it
show for the
every day
last-
for like a month.
But I don't pay attention when you read.
I was literally reading a giveaway. We did the thing where I said in 1967.
That's what
and
you've
we
been
made-
doing this whole time, giving away tickets.
Anyway, he wrote the show.
I would have entered if I knew you were giving away tickets.
Anyways, Barney.
So Ali wrote the show, and he says, growing up a diehard Leafs fan with Ugandan refugee parents working 2 to 3 jobs at a time, we never got the opportunity to even get close to the game in real life. I've worked hard to turn that around, and I've now been able to get to a handful of games. But this opportunity to go to the All-Star game is going to be cemented in my memories and will be something I tell my children about. Thank you truly for this opportunity and for replying. He's so excited to get close to the game and the players.
That's who needs to get the tickets.
I love
right
that.
there.
I get emotional
Not
reading
us.
that. That was really nice. So
And
we
please
appreciate the message.
Stop by and see us if you can on Friday.
And I think he's going to.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we will.
we'll take a picture.
I mean, the lineup for maybe long. Maybe lots of people wanted to see you guys and tell me to shut up.
Well, I think you're going to have a lot of the love because you represent the Leafs fan
yeah, right.
base. You're the red meat for the Leafs.
Yeah, and bring us something to eat too, Sammy.
Yeah, no
okay.
problem. Yeah, I'll bring.
Like I
bring
go
a
do
little-
Leaf regional games. I got to break into a cabinet for an energy bar.
I'll bring a little charcuterie board for the boys down there. How's that?
Oh,
sound?
what now?
A charcuterie. It's a joke. One of my.
Trailer Park Boys or what?
It's a very niche joke. Only one other person gets it. I said it on national television.
Should I
So,
get the
Neil,
Danforth to bring us some souvlaki or what?
Well, I was thinking you got some.
Call in the favors, bud. It's All-Star weekend. Let's
yeah,
go.
that's right. We need a good
Get a Greek
souvlaki.
fest in there.
Extra tzatziki.
I
George,
love it.
get my cousin George Kalinikos on it.
Oh, yeah?
He'll bring us all of Danforth if we want.
Kalinikos, that is Greek.
And that's just what we need. Right before we do
Hey.
a 2-hour show,
Red
carbs.
rum.
Did you ask me if Kalinikos is Greek? It ain't Irish.
My nephew, Achilles Kapitanakis, also a little bit Greek.
All right.
Wow. All right. Sorry about Alvin. Apparently, he was in his office and then he went MIA. So
Maybe he just fell asleep.
I don't know. Maybe he's too rich.
He's
Buddy,
just
sign a deal
too
like that. I'm not
tired
doing
right
our
now.
show
I
either.
don't know.
You turn that franchise around that quickly, it's got to be exhausting.
Pushing that wheelbarrow full of money to the bank.
Jen Rolnick says that we should do karaoke tomorrow.
That's the worst idea of all time. Love you, Jen.
But you don't want your ears bleeding.
None of that.
Couldn't carry a note in a bucket.
Well, stay tuned for 15 guests in 2 hours tomorrow.
I am looking forward to that.
All right. Katie Strang, thank you very much for your contribution today, along with Emily Kaplan, Curtis Joseph, and Patrick Alvin. Don't worry about it. We'll get you on the rebound, my friend. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you get a chance, give us a rating and review. We'd love to hear from you. And send those texts tomorrow, 59590. Have a great night, everybody.